Hello everyone and welcome to the Projecttop webinar, 6 Steps to Successful Deployment. My name is Jonas and I'm going to be walking you through the Projecttop process here. This webinar focuses in business critical projects where IT is heavily involved, and the idea is that these are ERP projects, CRM projects, whatever projects that involve software implementation. This is what we're focusing in today and usually when we do stuff in Projecttop. So I will be your host today. I am one of the founders of Projecttop and developers of the Projecttop Process, and I pretty much dedicate all my time to helping companies succeed in their challenging projects. And with me I have Jyrki Autio. Hello Jyrki.
Hello, hello.
Jyrki is a guy who is unfortunately often hired to save projects that are behind schedule or going over budget, but thankfully also now being hired to make sure that the project succeed from the beginning.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to be here.
Yeah, actually together, me and Jyrki, we have 3.5 decades of project experience under our belts, but we've been sailing under the Projecttop flag now for 15 years, doing some of the most demanding projects here in Finland, but also across Scandinavia, the Baltics, and pretty much everywhere in the world.
Yes, yeah.
And what we've been doing here in Projecttop actually is we're developing a software, have been doing so for 10 years, that will help specifically in those nasty deployment projects where you can replace those Excels and plan the project, execute the project, do all the testing and everything in one tool. But enough of that. One thing just regarding questions before we jump right into it. You can submit questions at any time during the webinar. You have the orange button where you can bring up the webinar overlay and you can find the questions part. And feel free to submit any questions you have at any time during the webinar, and we'll be sure to answer them at least at the end, if not during the webinar. Okay, so 6 steps to successful deployment, and we're going to walk through this process that if you forget about everything else, just please keep these things in mind. And this is according to the Projecttop process, how you can succeed in your development projects. So the idea is that you start with deployment planning, and then you do a cutover practice, like a dress rehearsal run, after which you move on to the user acceptance testing while making a rollback plan and hoping that you will never ever have to use it. Actually, to be honest with you, we haven't had to use that for I don't know how many years.
At least 10 years.
Yeah, it has been something like 10 years since we last rolled back anything, so I'm just gonna knock on wood.
Yeah.
And then how to do the actual cutover and plan also for the support period after the cutover. Okay, let's just move right into it. So here is the Projecttop process in a nutshell. Today we're going to concentrate on the back side, on the right side of the screen, starting from the deployment plan. And it doesn't really matter how you arrive to this point. You may do the definitions and planning phase of the project however you have done, but here are pointers on how to succeed in the actual deployment. Okay, so moving on. We're going to do the deployment plan very well in advance. I mean, we're going to do the deployment plan before when the building is progressing, right?
Yes, and that's when you are doing user acceptance test, you should know that what kind of go live you do and how the business is using the system, at least then.
Yeah, so it's really important to do the deployment plan in advance, well before you even think about user acceptance testing.
Yeah.
So, and then we're going to do a cutover practice run before the actual deployment of the system. And we're going to do that before user acceptance testing. Actually, we're going to do it when the user acceptance testing begins. to do a good quality user acceptance testing. And after the practice run, we can do the actual deployment plan.
Yes, and it should be so that before you transfer to building system test phase to user acceptance test phase, your readiness level should be about same than when you are transferring to cutover phase. So that's why the decision before cutover practice is same kind of decision before deployment.
Yeah, good point. Next, we're going to walk you through this process step by step. Here we have it. There's a lot of, I know it's a wall of text, but don't worry, we're going to do this step by step. This is a mind map, something that you can keep in mind when you're thinking about the deployment plan.
In many cases, our customers asking that I should plan deployment and how I do it. And that's why we have created this kind of process, because you must create a good plan to save your business in deployment.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that people often seem to start planning too late in the project.
Yes, yes.
It's kind of too late to do it in a good manner when you're already in a hurry and the build of the system is late and user acceptance testing is taking forever and you're in a hurry to deploy. But if you start it well in advance, this is how we suggest that you should do it. This is how we and our clients are actually succeeding in their projects.
Yeah, we have now. I have I'm mentoring 2 project managers, and we are doing this right now.
Yeah, this is actually in use in dozens of projects right now.
Yeah.
So first you start with a plan draft, when, how, and make a high-level risk analysis. And after that, I think this is a really important step, that before you start the technical planning, you consult the business.
Yes.
So you ask the business what's their normal schedule, what is normally happening, and you do the freeze time negotiation, meaning that what kind of window you have to deploy, to make the cutover, what kind of a window do you have to do everything in, and what other activities, business-related activities, you have to do during the cutover so that the business doesn't actually stop.
Yeah.
And then you can also make a quick business level risk analysis. What are the risks that could happen for the business if something goes wrong, and how you can take that into account.
One comment is that there's by business area, and that's very important, because if you are taking all the business people to one auditorium or big room, and then there's maybe 1 or 2 managers who are asking something. And that's not the thing what we are meaning. That means that you are going to one business area and talk with expertise and analyze that how business is running. Yeah. And there's about, in normal companies, you should have 5 to 7 meetings with different areas. So yeah,
that's a really good point. Too many cooks don't make a good stew in this.
Yeah.
Okay, after that, then you can proceed with the technical plan, and here you should include the vendor. They probably have some they can help you with. They probably have some templates you can use, and you can prepare all the technical tasks and make a risk analysis, this time focusing on the technical side of the plan. And then one really important thing, of course, is the migration and conversion plan. How to do it, it depends so much on the project you're doing that there's no point going any deeper.
Yeah, no. But you must do that plan.
Yeah.
And if you succeed in here, then you can succeed in the whole deployment.
Yeah, definitely. And then you make the cutover tasks, everything that you need to do, every activity. that needs to be done, and make a schedule, including the migration and conversions that we just talked about, and the business tasks, so that you have every area every area is covered. And then you make work instructions, what should be done and when, and you make points for go, no-go decisions.
Yes, and also that who is the person, that who are the persons who make the decisions.
Yeah.
That must be planned also.
Yeah.
That you have right people. Yeah. And that business tasks and changes. It's normally you must understand that this deployment normally changes the business processes.
Yes.
And that change must be in plan also.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And a little bit more about the go, no-go decisions a little further in the webinar.
Yes, yes.
We're going to get back to that. But after you have the cutover tasks and the schedule planned, then this is an important step. I know, Jyrki, you really like this one, that when you've done the plan, you shouldn't be afraid to go through it, introduce the plan to everyone involved. And they probably have something that they want to correct.
Yeah, and that's helps people to understand the plan, and they are involving the plan if they can make changes and corrections. And you just must have enough courage to show the plan and then please find 5 mistakes.
Yeah. And again, it's better to find the mistakes here than during the actual cutover. Yeah. But when you've done these steps, then you have what we call the version 0.8 of the cutover. So it's kind of ready. You have the plan. It looks good. But what you need to do next is test the plan if it actually works.
Yeah.
And this is really important. This is a big step here. The cutover practice, you're going to make the simulate the cutover as you would go live, but this time you're going to start acceptance testing.
Yeah.
As you do it. And you're going to take the time that has been the freeze time that was allocated, and you're going to do everything during that time. Every task that in this project you're going to do here and simulate the cutover like you were going live.
Yeah, and because we don't have now enough time to go through that cutover practice step by step, you can go to our website to VIP area and read more. There's a quite good articles about cutover practice.
Yeah, yes, I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you guys that this Projecttop Process, it is really detailed in our web pages. It's free. You don't even need to give any emails or whatever. You can just go to our web page, to the VIP area, and check out the articles yourself if you want.
Yeah, and if any questions, please don't hesitate to contact.
Yeah, definitely. Our passion here in Projecttop is try to help you guys do better in your projects. We don't want to keep the information to ourselves. We want to just freely give it to you, and hope it benefits you guys.
Yes.
Okay, you've done the cutover practice now, and then after that, you can finalize your plan. You have done it once, you know what went wrong, what went well, and you refine the plan based on the practice, and you get the 1.0 version of the plan.
Yeah.
But you also need to do resource planning and support plan for after when you've gone live. And you need to make the freeze time plan, meaning that you make a detailed plan on what you do during that little time that you're allocated, and make sure that everything was done during that window. And then you communicate the plan and make also, once again, you make a risk plan.
Yeah, and that communication plan is quite important because of you must plan that who you will communicate, example customers, that kind of thing, and also when. That if the acceptance test is just starting, and then you should think that are we now able to communicate customers that we go live after 1 month or not? that what is the right time to communicate outside, and
Yeah.
that's that kind of thing. But that's very important, because if you can communicate right away, that helps deployment to succeed.
Yeah, really good points. And if you thought you're done, you're not. Sorry, there's still 2 more steps. They just wouldn't fit on the slide here. So after you finalize the plan, you also make a rollback plan. So that's your plan B. If something really goes wrong, you're going to have go no go decision points, and kind of add those plan B tasks also to your cutover plan. On a general level, you don't need to make a really detailed rollback plan, but just like if we need to do the rollback plan, here are the things that we need to do in any stage.
Yeah.
And the typical, well, we have something more for those go no go points still, but after you have done that, that is also kind of a risk assessment. You're forced to assess your plan and make those decision points, and then you'll publish the plan and walk through, here's what we're going to do. And one thing that we never cease to remind people, that send those calendar reservations in advance.
Yeah. One comment, we have talked a lot about this risk analysis, and the normal it's so that you are making analysis that what are the risks and what are the critical points what we should save and take care of.
Yeah.
But there's also good to make that kind of negative risk analysis, that these are the not critical points, that if we have some issues in that part, that doesn't matter. It's because then you can focus the right things.
Yeah, it's a good point, because you will be busy during the cutover probably, and the more you plan in advance, the easier it will be.
Yeah. Example, if you know that you make invoicing maybe due 2 days after cutover, so that then it's very important to make sure that invoicing is working. But if you are making those some kind of manual retail rent invoices for third companies or something every half a month, then this part doesn't have to be in
instantly working. Yeah.
And then if you have issues with that, then you can go live. So,
yeah, it's a really good point.
Yeah, thanks.
So this is the general idea how to do the cutover practice, and after that you move on to the user acceptance testing. And the benefits of the cutover practice is that it's the method to ensure the deployment of the business, that your business will actually run after you go live. And in addition to the technical point of view, the expertise of the users can be tested.
Yeah, and that's one very important point, because if the users can't use the system, the training has not completed, and then you have big problems.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if the solution works,
yeah,
if people can't actually use it. And this is a good way to gauge and see how well they know their stuff.
Yeah, and in that cutover practice, we are checking that kind of monitoring things and reporting and checking. That gives a lot of information for users.
Yeah, and of course, when you do the cutover practice in this dry run, you can see if there's something that went wrong, you can improve your plan.
Yeah.
And when you start user acceptance testing as a deployment exercise, then the goal of that is to ensure that the solution supports business needs and your business is secure after the deployment. But I think the point, the very big thing here is that testing quality improves dramatically when acceptance testing is set up systematically.
Yes.
It is You had some research on the percentages.
Yeah, it's about 40% more better acceptance testing. I mean that 40% less findings that the root cause is bad setting.
Yeah, when you haven't set up everything for the acceptance testing, you'll have bad master data, or build wasn't totally complete, or whatever. You'll be making findings that you shouldn't do, that are just sloppy setup, and this kind of eliminates that.
Yeah, okay, this is not working. Okay, configuration missing. This is not working. Okay, we don't have master data. We don't have campaigns. We don't have, yeah. It's so disturbing to try to do acceptance testing, so the system is not ready.
Yeah.
And it's dramatically improves quality.
Yes. So you won't wasting time finding any defects that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And a couple of words about the rollback plan. Okay, you shouldn't ever need to use that, but it's like the insurance. And insurance is basically something that you never want to use anyways. But if there are problems, and sometimes there are, like you had some examples here when you were doing one deployment and you found a lot of weird bugs and issues during the verification, and it turned out that the vendor had actually deployed a old version of the software.
Yeah, and the guy says that I have installed the version, but it was not the version the right version, and it was so weird that we must go back.
So anything can happen when humans are doing stuff.
Yeah.
So a mistake can always happen. That's why you really need to make the rollback point, and for every decision-making point, you should make the rollback plan. As I said previously, it doesn't need to be a very detailed plan, but the idea that can we actually do the rollback?
Yeah, and if you are doing deployment plan by using our process, and maybe using Projecttop, that you have the list of tasks in right order, and people are changing status at what is ready and what not. That helps doing the rollback plan.
Yeah.
Because you know how rollback.
Yes. And the typical points where you should have the rollback plan is before the cutover has started. If you run into trouble actually before that, or the point before you kind of go live with the new system, before you start the production use. After you've done the cutover, you do a quick verification that everything works, and that's one typical rollback point. But if you're really unlucky, you might have to roll back after production use has started.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't have to, but and there's a point after which rollback is not possible anymore. And it's good to recognize these points.
And if we are talking about critical business solution, then when you do the rollback plan, then you notice that, okay, after cutover tasks are done, before production you start, we should do quite good validation.
Yeah.
Test that the system is working properly, check all the master data, maybe take some list of stock value and that kind of thing, and verify there before we start the production use.
Yeah.
And after you have made the rollback plan, you maybe notice that we should be very careful when we do this validation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's help you, because that 4 point after rollback is not possible anymore, comes quite soon.
Yeah, that's true. The master data starts accumulating instantly when you start the production use.
Yeah, and you should not go to the situation that, okay, we can't continue because system is working. We can't roll back because old system is.
Yeah.
Let's go home.
But the idea is that when you do it by this plan, you take everything into account, and once the actual cutover starts, you can just chill. You should be able to lay back, chill, and watch that everything is just progressing well, as it should.
And last yesterday evening when I drove home, one project manager called me and in small talk part she says that it's so nice to check from Projecttop how status are changing, and he was so wondering that how the new consultants who have never used Projecttop was so. They said it's so easy to just change the status and keep the comments, and they are doing the cutover practice, and he was chilling out.
Yes, and that's what you should aim for. None of this panicky stuff.
Yeah. It's if you don't do plan and cutover practice, then in many cases you are in situation that it's so you are so hurry, and of course if you have that cutover weekend and cutover time you are hurry, but it's going so that after cutover you have a lot of meetings and it takes several hours to call to managers and directors that we have a problems because we have a problems. Yeah.
So a couple of things to keep in mind. The cutover, prepare, make the calendar reservations and be sure you have the people you need, that they aren't on vacation or working on another project or something. It's really important.
Yes, and be sure that there is a third parties. Some people who are not all the time in the project.
Yeah.
Be sure that you have calendar reservation also them that they are not on holiday or somewhere.
Yeah, vendors and guys doing the integrations and whatever.
Yeah, cooperators.
Yeah, to communicate with all the resources in your project that they know what to do and why and when.
Yeah.
So everyone knows what to do. And at the launch, we suggest that you publish the activities from Projecttop. So everyone will have their own task lists where they can see actually what to do and when, and so that you can manage the cutover. You can see what is done, what isn't done, and you can do it so that you should actually have open all the tasks that can be done now, so that you can kind of do the cutover phase by phase. You have those certain decision points, and you do everything that you need to do before this decision point, but nothing more yet. This may be a more visual, so that some things are ready, some things people are right now working on, and those tasks marked open are those that people can start working on next. And those gray ones that are waiting, they are something that you shouldn't work on yet before you get to the go no-go decision point where you can decide to move on or do any decisions that you need if you run into problems.
Yeah, and one reason why I love Projecttop is that when I open the next the task of the next phase, I just select those cases using must change, one comment, send, and then everybody get notification. Okay, go no decision is made, go decision, and now I can do the next steps, next task. It's so much easier, and it should be so that you are telling people that now you should work, not so that resource should go to some folder to find some Excel where to open the right sheet and then write place. That's not today.
Yeah, definitely. It's 2018. You don't need to work with Excels anymore or emails.
Yeah.
There are better ways.
Yeah.
Something about the support period. After you've done the cutover, you should always plan ahead.
Yeah.
So, always plan ahead. And a couple things to consider is, again, reserve your resources in advance and book the meetings well in advance, so that if you go live on a Sunday evening, you have the first meeting on, like, what would you suggest, Monday afternoon?
Afternoon, yes. Few hours, then very short follow-up meeting that everything is okay, and so that all your key users come to say that everything is okay.
Yeah.
And if somebody is so hurried that he can't come, then he should come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can help those.
Yes, that's definitely the information you wanna find out.
Yeah.
If they are in trouble, then you can help those.
Yeah, it's so there will be small issues, and if you don't fix those, then you have big problems.
And we're gonna have some issues. That always happens. And it's okay. I mean, you shouldn't have any critical issues, but you're probably going to have something that you need to fix and work on. And for this, you should always plan ahead, that you make sure you have the ability to resolve any findings you have quickly. So you have the vendor, you have any third parties that are involved in the project, coders, whatever, that you can fix the findings.
Yeah, and if you are talking about how to list the issues. If you don't have any list of issues anywhere, then you are just, there's rumors. Okay, it's nothing working.
Yeah.
You should make very easy way how to report all the issues for the project team, and go to the business and ask that how it's working.
Yeah.
But if you start solving issues, the small issues also right away, and then the right people is solving right issues. If you have difficult one, then you have your own expertise. If there's an easy one, read the manual, or some key user is helping you. Then you have ability to resolve findings quickly.
Yeah.
If you are taking so that okay, there's 2 days, and then you go to check how it's working, then everybody's saying this is not working, this is not working, this is not working, and then the whole business is thinking that bad program, and we don't like to use it. It's so important to have good feeling.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good deployment plan and everything is running smoothly, then people are smiling. And if you have some small issues, that okay, we can do it.
Yeah.
If you are smiling, you can do it.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to burn out your people. I mean, if they have to be working all evenings and weekends to make the cutover, and then the cutover is done in a panic that you need to get everything done. They're working. Often you see people working through the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then they are so tired and burned out that they have kind of given everything. But if you do these things right, they don't have to call their wives or husbands that, oh, so sorry, I have to spend this weekend also working. Then you have the ability to solve everything quickly, mm-hmm. and to make sure that the business doesn't dip during the deployment period.
Yeah.
But
that's in many cases the level is that you try to not destroy the business, but the right level is that people who are working in project and in deployment will
don't destroy the business, but also don't destroy the people.
Yeah, that's very important.
So to reiterate, the 6 steps to successful deployment that you should keep in mind is deployment planning. First of all, you do it well in advance. Before you start even thinking about acceptance testing, you do the planning when the vendor is doing the building.
Yeah.
And when you move on to the acceptance testing, you do the cutover practice. After that, you do the rollback plan to make sure that if something does go wrong, you have the ability to roll back and make sure that the business doesn't suffer. And then you can do the cutover, do it so that you can chill, you can watch how everything is progressing and not panic at all this time. Make this promise to yourself. And also keep in mind the support period after the cutover.
I have been about, I just counted about 150 cutover, in big cutover during these 20 years. And my wife understands. I tell him that I'm next weekend I'm off, and she understands that there will be that kind of period because that's my work, and I know that I reserve some holidays after that and that kind of thing. But normally, when in company they are doing this cutover, the deployment, then the people it's surprised. They don't understand what kind of thing it is.
Yeah.
And that's why many people are stressing and that kind
of they're burning out. They don't have the luxury to take the vacation after the cutover.
yeah. And when you are doing deployment planning and communication via that kind of process, there's a lot of things how to communicate and tell that this will happen, and we are solving our problems in this way. Then it's the people can breathe and not stressing.
Yeah, it's important. We worry about the people.
Yeah, yes.
We actually really do.
Yeah.
And so don't make the same mistakes almost every project ever makes.
Yeah. Make the new ones.
Yes, discover new mistakes. The old ones have been made. Don't do this Excel and management by Excel and email stuff. It makes everything terrible.
Yeah.
You will burn out your people. You will burn out yourself. There is a better way. Right now, we have some time for questions. And you have a couple of minutes now to submit any questions you may have. And I'm just going to take this time while you write those questions to tell just a couple of words how we could maybe help you guys. I mean, we have expertise. We have a great software that helps in these kind of development projects, helps in deploying the software. And we're really chill guys. Me and Jyrki, we've made our life about making your projects better. If you'd like to talk with us, just to chat, I'm sure you'd get some pointers or whatever, and it's just no non-committal thing. You can go to our website and there's the contact information. You can just send me an email or just reserve a Skype call with us.
Yeah, and one thing, if you are now start testing or start deployment and you have listed some activities to Excel, you have several Excels and you are wondering how you manage it, then just give us a call, 1 hour, then we are just importing your Excel to Projecttop, and after that you have a great list of activities. Every resource have own activity list, job lists, and then you have real-time reporting. Yeah, it's so much easier. It's much more easier to go live with Projecttop than try to explain people that where they find their Excels and how they should work with those, and if we have new version, whatever it makes.
Yeah. Feel free to challenge us. Give us your Excel and we'll show you a better way how to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're pretty serious about this, guys. Do it.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
About regarding questions, I see that you're a bit of a quiet bunch. There are no questions at this point. Maybe we were just so thorough in our explanations. I don't think so. But feel free to read more from the Projecttop VIP area. Feel free to take Projecttop for a spin. Just start a free trial or just contact us to talk more. At this point, I'm just gonna thank you all for coming to the webinar. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you got something out of it. So for me, for Jonas, it's bye for now.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.